All right, guys, we're live. Give me 1 sec. Recording.
All right. I'm so excited for this shit. Like they bumped up the graphics even more. Like holy shit! Like that's crazy.
I gotta check it out when I get on there. I just need to get to the channel real quick. All right, we're good to go. Here we go. So, welcome to the Inner Circle Podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox One. I'm your host, KORSLL, and with B Money 101.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Glad to be back for another episode.
And Anchorman V.
Hey everybody, how you guys doing?
And of course, Skittles 1323, who will probably be showing up in a few. We are the Inner Circle Podcast. First and foremost, man, I want to thank Ryan McCaffrey for coming on the show last week. It was really cool for him to stop by. We had a great conversation. I want to apologize to anybody that felt like, I didn't give the rest of the crew enough attention. I will definitely be making a better effort of doing that. Usually what I try to do is I try to get 3 Tic questions in, a couple fan questions in, then I let the team banter a bit and come up with their own questions. But sometimes it doesn't work that way. So we'll tweak it and we'll get it right to where the team is a little bit more balanced on the show. But I want to thank everybody who stopped in, checked out the show, thought it was awesome. Gave great compliments and everything. And I really hope that the show was, what people wanted to hear, or maybe something that people weren't expecting to hear. And I'm glad that Ryan was able to handle some of the questions that I asked. I didn't go too hard on him to where it was like, oh my God, you're killing him, you're being an a-hole, and I wasn't too soft on him. Like, come on, man, ask us something real. So I really appreciate everybody stopping in and checking that out. And it's been very, very successful. A lot of hits on YouTube, as well as our largest, most downloaded MP3 when it comes to being mobile on iTunes, Windows, Android. You guys out there who are listening to the show today, big thank you. Big support from you guys. I mean, the downloads was massive. It's the biggest downloads we've ever had. So I really appreciate the support in that space, and our presence is really growing big in the mobile market. So big shout out to you guys out there who listen to us via iTunes, Android, Windows, or any other unknown devices that you may use to check out Tic Podcast. So I want to talk about what's going on with all the news that's been happening over the past week. Clearly, we just found out about Alan Wake, the return of Alan Wake coming back from Remedy Games. They were able to go ahead and, get a new trademark for that game. And I think I've talked about this for a very, very, very long time already. I've already said that they were doing the Easter egg for Quantum Break. There was always these hints that Alan Wake was coming. Once you started to see Alan Wake BC for Quantum Break, I knew it was next. And that's something that I had spoke about. I don't know how many times I have spoken about it. I'm just glad that, I don't want to say it's a prediction, I'm just glad that it's coming to fruition and that people will be able to get a chance to play Alan Wake for those who had missed it when it first came out, including myself, because some of you guys know that I'm not really big into the horror scene. It's just not my thing. When I get that controller going and I'm playing those horror games or those survival horror games, my palms get sweaty, my heart is racing. It's just something about horror games that's like, to me, it's so intense because you don't know what's going to happen. Like, I could watch a movie with no problem, but just playing a horror game, forget it. It's tough. It's real tough to do. So, I just try to avoid them. But I heard Alan Wake wasn't that bad. It's kind of more suspenseful than it is scary. So I would definitely, I already pre-ordered my Quantum Break. You guys already know that. Like, that was going to happen regardless. So I already pre-ordered Quantum Break. So whenever I get Alan Wake in, I'll be able to play those games. But, have you guys played Alan Wake?
Yeah, I played Alan Wake 1 a couple of years ago. I actually really enjoyed it. It was a really interesting experience. It kind of had that Twin Peaks Twilight Zone kind of vibe,
Mhm.
and I'm a big horror fan when it comes to those kind of shows. So I was really really digging it.
What about you, B?
I started playing it. I didn't actually finish the game, so it's pretty cool that I get a chance to actually finish the game once I pick up Quantum Break.
I didn't get it. I never played it, so I'll probably try to try it out, play it with the lights on during the day. That's how I kind of play Far Cry. I can't play Far Cry at night. Like when it when it turns night in Far Cry Primal, I go right to sleep and wake up during the day. I know there's certain animals that come out at night that you can only like experience at night, or certain plants and things like that. But I skip the nighttime. It's completely dark and you just hear all types of animals, so I just skip it. I'm just like I can't deal with the pressure. It's too much. But it would be really dope to get a chance to play Alan Wake and see what it's all about. Let me ask you a question, Anchor. Being that you played the first game, what would you like to see in Alan Wake Returns?
Personally, I like to see a little bit more fleshed out combat system from the game. Because before it had this really cool dynamic between you had to use your flashlight to break down the shadow barrier on the enemies, and then you could use your gun. I'd like to see a little bit more of mixing, a little more depth to it, a little bit more. I don't know exactly what she would do, but I'd like to see them try to add something to it.
I wonder if they would try to go with the time route like Quantum Break, being that they said that like the Alan Wake character and the Quantum Break world is kind of interconnected. I don't even know how that would work. To be honest with you, you have this character that's stuck in this. He's like trapped in his own book, correct, or something like that?
Sort of. You have to play the game to understand it.
Okay. I mean, well, if he's trapped in his own book or trapped in a world where it's like a book, I'm trying to figure out how did he get trapped in the first place, or is it like on a Silent Hill tip, where you kind of go into this town where then suddenly his life is being narrated. It kind of sucks trying to figure out the game, but I never played it, and so many people love it as a cult classic. But trying to figure out how they would implement the Quantum Break world in the Alan Wake world and how that would work, because I know that they have the slowdown time where like you put light on a creature or something like that, and you can blast them with a flare gun, or you can blast them with like I think you have a certain like a pistol and a certain amount of ammos. They try to make it somewhat survival horror where you have limited resources and things like that. But I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how they would make that work. I don't know if it coincides correctly, but if they do, I think a lot of fans would be excited to finally be able to play this game. And if they are going to use, I believe it's the Light Engine, which is the Northlight Engine, which is what they're using for Quantum Break. If they use that for Alan Wake, knowing how good Alan Wake looked on 360, that would be insane. That would be insane. So, I'm just really excited for the game. Brandon, you have any thoughts on Alan Wake Return? What do you think it might do for the Xbox One? Do you think that it would move units for the Xbox One?
I'm not sure if Alan Wake Returns would actually move units for the Xbox One. I think Quantum Break with the marketing that game has had as of recent, it's starting to pick up a little bit of steam, and people are getting a lot more interested in that game. So I think that'll probably move units, but Alan Wake was like a cult classic. It didn't really pick up until after that game was released on PC, and a lot of people, started showing the love after that. So, I mean, there is a chance for that. I guess we'll just have to see, once, the Quantum Break hype is over and Alan Wake can kind of, breathe in its own air.
What was your thoughts on that, Anchor?
Honestly, I don't even know if it's technically a sequel for Alan Wake Returns. I'm not really even sure. Simply because Returns doesn't sound like a sequel title to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just doesn't sound right to me. But I mean, I'm not sure if it'll shift like a ton of units for a sequel. I mean, it didn't sell particularly well last time, but I understand there were different circumstances.
Well, I'm looking at it from the perspective of this. Let's say they've been working on Alan Wake simultaneously while working on Quantum Break, right? You turn around, you release it in 2017. let's just say Alan Wake Returns comes out in 2017. You got Scalebound coming out in 2017. You got Alan Wake coming out in 2017. I don't know what they have coming up that they could announce. I'm pretty sure they'll have something Forza related. They may have something Halo related. Not saying that they would have like a Halo 6 or anything like that, but maybe like another Halo spin-off of a character or something like that. Maybe a Locke story, maybe something with the Arbiter, who knows. But it's a possibility they may have something with Halo. You have a few new IPs that they've been working on. I'm pretty sure Fracture? I always say Fragment, but it's Fracture. I'm pretty sure Fracture is not going to release this year. I think if they show anything new, I would expect it to come out next year. If they show things new that are releasing this year, it would be a big surprise. I'm pretty sure they may have one game that I think would be a big surprise, but I think that if they show anything new this year, it will be for 2017. Honestly.
Yeah, I think we'll get that same, kind of setup that we had at last year's E3, where we'll kind of see, what will be, releasing for this fall, and then, they'll kind of cut off and say, this is for 2017 and beyond. And I think that's where you might see that announcement.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a solid pick to add to the Xbox One for 2017. I don't know what else they got. I mean, if they come out with a new Fable, or maybe they come out with whatever Lionhead is working on besides, this Fable game. If they're working on the Fable, I guess you could say, not MMO, but like the Fable MOBA, in a way, the 4v1 type game. If they come out with a real Fable in 2017, you add Scalebound, you add Alan Wake, obviously you probably have another Forza game, maybe Forza 7 by that time. That's a solid lineup so far. In my opinion, it's not nothing that blows you away compared to this year. But if you're an Alan Wake fan, you look at that and you say, wow, that is kind of impressive early on. Now, if they come out with something from Rare, maybe we get that Young Conquer. I don't know if Young Conquer comes out this year, if Young Conquer comes out next year, and Rare starts to dabble in more of their older IPs. Microsoft starts to bring back some of their older things. If they surprise us with a few gems, maybe they have something in 2017. I don't know yet, but we won't know until E3. We won't know the GDC, and we won't know what they have in store feature-wise or game-wise, at least for the next couple of months. I want to touch on Gears of War 4 because, in my opinion, this is the franchise that's going to be leading the Xbox into the future at this point. I love Halo. No disrespect to Halo. Halo will forever be the franchise that put Microsoft on the map. I'm not saying that Halo has died down anyway. I think that it's a great franchise. I think the multiplayer has been great. What they've been doing with the multiplayer has been amazing, honestly. And you always get a lot of people who gripe about microtransactions, right? And these guys have been giving away everything for free when it comes to the multiplayer. Free maps, free game modes. They just added Firefight. You got all types of new costumes. They're keeping it fresh. I really like this approach. Do you think they should do this with all their games?
I don't know if they should do it with all their games, but definitely with the top tier ones. You kind of got to put in a little bit more effort to keep the audience there, especially anytime it's a shooter. Halo has had its legacy for a long time. A lot of people trust Halo as being one of the top shooters on the market. But there's so many other ones. As you know, Call of Duty still sells like hotcakes and things like that. So to kind of keep your audience there, you kind of got to do what you got to do to keep them interested. So they keep participating with that game.
Hank?
I think Major Nelson also came out. He had said, at least when it comes to DLC, that huge multiplayer games should not have a season pass, and I think that kind of speaks towards their general philosophy towards it. I think a lot of people, if they hear DLC is free, they're more likely to pick up a game, and they're more likely to stick with it longer because they know that stuff is coming and it's going to be free. And they're more likely to put up with honestly just horrible practices.
Right.
Like, not necessarily Microsoft, but I mean, like, if you look at games like Star Wars Battlefront, where it launched like with bare bones content and just honestly just really screwed up stuff. But they heard, there's gonna be some DLC. It's gonna come some of it's gonna be free. Like, oh yeah, we'll stick with it.
I mean, that's just been this generation in general. We've been getting games where it's like they don't even give you the full game. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you get this half-baked game for $60, and you have to wait for the rest of the game to be delivered over the next 6 months. At that point in time, you've already on to the next game. You know, it's like it's funny because you look at what Bungie did. You know, Bungie sent out emails to people asking, "Why did you leave Destiny?" I'm not trying to take a shot at Bungie, but when you're a developer and you're sending emails to your players asking, "Why did you leave Destiny?" that says something. That means that you're not doing something right, or the gameplay has gotten really pretty stale, and people are like, "Come on, like, where's the real content at?" And I look at Street Fighter, and I know Street Fighter got released early. I know a lot of people take shots at Street Fighter. My understanding is Street Fighter is a very high quality game. It's missing a lot of modes and things like that, but as a game, it's solid. It plays well. But the great thing about it is that they're working hard to try to, I guess you could say, put the content in this game over the next couple of months. They wanted to get it out for Evo. I just feel like it was the wrong decision to do. You know, it just made Capcom look bad. And then to top it all off, Capcom has the nerve to then turn around and say, guess what? We're going to re-release Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6. Really? Really, Capcom? Like, really, Capcom? Are we doing this? I think Capcom is like the remasters. They're like the remaster of remasters at this point. You know, it's getting really, really bad. Didn't they just do Devil May Cry and Mega Man series?
Yeah, well, I mean, they did mention, kind of like when the generation started, that they really weren't going to focus on new IPs and things like that. That they would really focus on remastering, some of their older games and kind of seeing what that reception was. So, it's kind of unfair to gamers because we've played these games many times over. But with the financial situation that Capcom is in, I mean, I can see it being understandable. It's up to gamers to either support it or not support it. If you don't like what they're doing, then you don't have to purchase those remastered games. But it seems like that's the road that they're on.
I look at Capcom and I think about how they're in dire straits financially. I think about Gigantic as well. A lot of people are forgetting that Gigantic is in trouble. Maybe not as a game, but as a company. They've had to lay off a ton of workers. They're looking for someone to help support the rest of the game or support the rest of the company. I'm thinking that Microsoft is actually back in the game, but really I think they just have a marketing deal. And my understanding is I don't know why Microsoft doesn't step up and just purchase the IP. And if these guys are holding on to the IP, knowing that they're going broke and they may go under, that's just being selfish and being stingy. I mean, it's not being selfish, but it's definitely being kind of like ignorant to the situation. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you let one IP go to save the entire company and you build something new. I think Capcom has to do some thinking about what they want to do as far as their IPs go. You have all these amazing IPs and it's just sitting in your catalog, not being used. And you just keep remastering Resident Evil because really that's the only franchise left that you have that's doing extremely well. And then you look at what they did over there at Deep Silver with Homefront. Homefront is horrendous.
That game is garbage.
This game is so bad.
Garbage juice.
Dude, I feel like I was playing Clay Fighters. That's how bad it was. Like the people would come up the stairs and the animations were so stiff, and you would shoot them and the characters wouldn't die. And it just was terrible. The environments looked terrible. Like I lost interest in the game after the first 5 minutes. It was pretty bad, And I think to myself, had they had maybe got some help from a big company like Microsoft, even Sony, I would have been like, okay, at least Sony, or maybe even Activision or EA, But to really back the game, to give it the financials that it needs, so that way you can make a proper game. And that's why I don't get mad at companies when they go third party exclusive or third party timed, because they get that financial backing to finish the game and support the game. People get mad all the time. Oh my God, they're taking the game from everybody, and I can't play the game. And why are they doing this? They're money handing everything. But you look at a game like Homefront, and you just say to yourself, damn, how good that game could have been had they had the right financial backing, in my opinion. Or they had the right development time with that game. That game should not release. That game is going to automatically be a bomb, and that franchise would be over. And I really liked the first one. The first one was a really good game. It wasn't bad. It was a sleeper, to be honest with you. A lot of people slept on the first Homefront, So you have that. You have Street Fighter. Hopefully they get that going, and all that works out. And I hope Gigantic comes. I played it. We played it at E3. We had fun at E3 with the game. I thought the game was real interesting and it's different. What do you think that these guys need to do, man? You think that they should reach out to Microsoft?
I don't know if they necessarily have to reach out to Microsoft. It just depends on what their actual funding needs are. A lot of these developers are going the Kickstarter route and things like that to kind of finish their title. I think if as long as fans are behind it, then they could probably reach their goal. I would hate to see them, kind of sell off an IP and not really get what they wanted from the IP in regards to finances and kind of being able to move on to something else, because it comes down to the value that the IP holds. So if gamers aren't really interested in it, then maybe it's just time to move on and do something else. But if they have that interest, then I'm sure they could probably crowdfund it and keep the game going.
Right. Hank, what are your thoughts on that?
I think a lot of people don't really pay attention to the fact that making a game is expensive. It is a very expensive undergoing. You have games that are hundreds of millions of dollars, and clearly they're kind of the exceptions. These are the big AAA games that cost this much, and really we overlook that to make a game nowadays, you have to put so much more into it. And for games like Gigantic and for the smaller games that are going through these financial struggles, I mean, I feel for them. And the people also talk about the Kickstarter. Why don't you just do Kickstarter? Why don't you just do crowdfunding? There's a lot of extra stuff that comes from crowdfunding, a lot of extra pressure that games like Star Citizen had to go through, and games like Battalion 1944, where people who have put money into it want to know everything about the game immediately, and sometimes it's just not really anything to say, and it adds an extra level of accountability to the process.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's a tough decision. I think we'd all love it if a bigger company like a Microsoft or a Sony or just some bigger publisher just threw money at the game because it was worthy. But the publishers also to look if they could sell the game.
I think Gigantic will sell. I love the art direction with the game. It's different. When I look at other games, I don't want to say that they're not good. I look at Smite. Smite is a really good game and it's really addicting. But you just look at how fluid and how colorful and how vibrant Gigantic is, and the concept of damaging other players to put energy into your Guardian, and then letting the fight at each other while everybody's in the middle battling and getting kills, and it's dope. It's a dope concept. Microsoft has always been a company that has been real PC centric. And I like the fact that they're going this PC route a little bit, not as far as putting all their games on PC. Don't get me wrong, I agree with the decision, but at the same time, I'm a console gamer. But I like the fact that they're starting to pull some of these PC type games back into the Xbox. That's what made the original Xbox so unique, because at a time where console gamers didn't get a chance to experience these different things that the PC gamers were playing, Xbox was bringing that to the table. It's the reason why we missed Knights of the Old Republic, because Knights of the Old Republic was something that we had never played before on consoles, and when it came out, it was the perfect time. It was different. It was unique. It gave you choices. You weren't getting a lot of games like that were giving you choices. Everything was so linear back in the day, and the story was on point. The music was on point. The sound effects was on point. The game is just a classic. I'm just so mad that this game is not out, being released on next generation consoles, and I hope it does eventually. EA need to get on the ball with that. But as of today, I can't think of anything that that has been on PC that originated on PC that was great, other than certain genres, like the MOBA genre, like the 4v1 and things like that. So it's kind of cool that some of those games are coming back over to the Xbox One and what they're trying to do with it, as well as Microsoft implementing that preview program. I had, and by the way, guys, tomorrow we're going to have Hinterland, the creators of The Lawn Dark. We'll have that on the red carpet tomorrow. That'll be releasing at 1 p.m. I was speaking with Raphael yesterday about that as well, and how, they were the first ones to actually be a part of the program and how it all came to fruition. It's a really cool story. And he actually talked about how he worked on Fallout 3, and a lot of his team worked on a lot of big AAA games. It's a really great show. Check it out tomorrow. And I'm thinking about how they're doing this and how PC with Steam has, early access and things like that. And Microsoft is now trying to do their own early access thing. And Souls Project just dropped. They have been putting out a lot of really good games in early access, and that's the one thing I give them. I don't think there's been a game that's hit early access that's been bad yet. Every game has been pretty solid or really good, and that's a really great thing for them. It just goes to show that they know what they're choosing when they pick certain games. So Microsoft going this PC route and maybe making the Xbox One more PC-centric just might be something that they need to really separate themselves from the pack compared to PlayStation and Nintendo. I just hope that the games that's coming, like Gigantic, makes us go and reaches what it needs to reach. So I just want to touch back on Gears of War. Gears of War 4 is supposed to be having a spring beta. Microsoft has not spoken about it. We haven't seen anything on Recore. These games are supposed to be coming out later in the year. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that Gears of War 4 has actually been pushed up. It was supposed to be a holiday release. Now they moved it up to a fall release. I don't know if they moved it up any further, but the last thing I heard was that it's supposed to come out fall. Now, fall starts around October. So you're talking about it could be early October, mid-October, it could be early September. So my question is, what do you drop in November? November is always the big game. Is Recore dropping in November? I don't think you drop Recore in November because it's a new IP, or do you? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be an unannounced title. I think they're waiting for E3, and they're going to announce a game, and it's going to say, coming in November 2016.
What? Let me explain to me what game could be so big and so wanted that you would warrant to move Gears 4 out of the November month up into October or September.
If they're moving Gears up until October, though, you got November's kind of open. You remember what happened this year, or last holiday season? They put Halo in October.
Right.
November was Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider. I don't think Microsoft puts a lot of emphasis on November as much as before. Because before, last time it was Tomb Raider. The year before that, it was Master Chief Collection, a series of remastered games. I don't think they really regard November as this holy month for video games. I think they normally leave it up to the third parties to do.
I don't think so. I think they do regard November, October as their big months all the time. I think they had one Gears release in September, but usually around October, November, they always drop the big titles, because you got to remember, once November hits, Black Friday is like Christmas Day for Microsoft. They're like, okay, hey, this is what we got to do. We got to lower the price on all these games down to 99 cents. We're going to put these bundles out here. I don't care what color they are or what you put in them. We're just going to get them out there on the market. We're going to sell these things and move them like they're hotcakes. And that's what they do. So putting a game out early November sets that up for all these bundles and all these games that they put out in November for Black Friday. Releasing a major title in September defeats that, because then it's like it doesn't appeal as much because it came out in September. Everybody's played it, everybody's had it, you know. But if you drop a game in November and people think about Black Friday and they want to get an Xbox, I'll wait till Black Friday and, you know, pick up the game and stuff like that. So I think that might be something they do. Brandon, what do you think?
I think this is probably going to be something that I mentioned before in the podcast, and I think it's got to be a third-party partnership with another company, similar to, you know, like they did with Tomb Raider. And, you know, I did mention before that, you know, it would be nice if they partnered with Rockstar and did Red Dead. But I don't know if they would go that far. But I think it's definitely got to be a third-party partnership since we kind of know the bigger games from first party, unless they kind of have something ready from first party that has been unannounced. Kind of moving up Gears, which is the second biggest franchise that Microsoft has on the stable right now. That's pretty big. If you're going to move it away from the big holiday selling season, then that means that you have to have something else which is just as big as what you think Gears is going to do for you. So I think it's got to be that third-party partnership with another big dev that's going to release something crazy. We know Bethesda's working on something. They have multiple projects going, so they could have a partnership with Bethesda and have some time game or maybe even an exclusive title from Bethesda that releases in November. We just don't know yet, but it's definitely exciting to know that they move Gears up to maybe prepare for something bigger.
I don't know, man. That's tough. I'm trying to think. I don't know if Phil does third party again after the Tomb Raider fiasco. And I don't mean style-wise. I just mean Square Enix kind of throwing them under the bus with these, with the whole release thing for the other consoles. I don't know if Phil does it.
The only way they can get away with it is if it's a true exclusive to the console. I know that's definitely some big spending there to get a true third-party exclusive, but I think that's kind of the only way you would be able to do it if you're going to go that route.
I will tell you that Microsoft has that Red Dead Redemption. I keep saying Red Dead Redemption, but the Red Dead 2 or Red Dead 3, since Red Dead Redemption is supposed to be part 2. People tell me that all the time. Red Dead Redemption is part 2. The first one was Red Dead Revolver. All right,
that's
bro.
Right.
I get it. All right, get off my back. Okay. So Red Dead 3, whatever. Let's say, I think Microsoft has Red Dead 3. I think they got that locked. I really do. We've talked about this for a long time. Speaking of which, Take-Two is going to be at E3, and we said Take-Two would be at E3.
Didn't I call that out?
You called that. We was like, EA steps out, who replaces them? Take-Two. And it's funny because we were like, nah, what is Rockstar? Rockstar can announce anything they want. No, they're going to be at E3, and they're going to have their own conference. That's big. And I think Microsoft has locked up, and I really believe this, Microsoft has locked up that Red Dead 3 announcement. They got the exclusive deal, and nobody believed me when I said this. All the fanboys was like, no, why would they do that? Why would they go with Microsoft? Sony already has Grand Theft Auto 5. They're just gonna go. Why? I'm like, Microsoft has BC, bro. They got Red Dead. Red Dead was just released recently on the Xbox One. They messed up, obviously, by releasing it because they were just testing it, but some people got a chance to play it before they turned it off. There's a reason why they did that. They were testing that game. So that way, when they do announce this game, Red Dead, whatever the next Red Dead is, guess what you're getting bundled with the game? Red Dead Redemption. You know what I'm saying? So it just makes sense that that Microsoft has that deal locked up. I believe they do. And that's great for them because everybody's clamoring for this game. It's kind of like how everybody was clamoring for Star Wars with PlayStation. And I really hope that everybody's clamoring for Red Dead with Microsoft, and that it helps them get what they move the units they want to move. I don't know if that's a third-party deal that would help them in November because it's still a multi-plat. Unless they locked up exclusivity. I don't think they locked up exclusivity. If they did, oh my God, could you imagine the storm? You thought Tomb Raider was bad? Could you imagine the storm that would happen if Microsoft locked up Red Dead 3's exclusivity? Bro, chill. It'd be everybody be up there trying to contact what's the guys that knocked the servers off the other day? The New World hackers. They knocked Xbox Live offline for like a whole day or something like that. Everybody was losing their minds, coming up with videos about how Xbox Live service was trash and they need to fix it. And these hackers did like a major DDoS attack and knocked everything off of Microsoft, which is insane when you really think about it. But I could imagine people just like trying to figure out ways to destroy Microsoft at this point. Like it would just be horrendous and crazy. So I don't think that would happen. But I think that they have the marketing deal. I mean, you look at this year, Microsoft has got a solid lineup, man. They got a really good lineup. You look at ReCore, you look at Gears, whatever Forza drops. You have Quantum Break. You have a whole bunch of small titles and indie games coming out. You got Below. We have I can't think off the top of my head.
Where's Cuphead at? That's
Cuphead.
Cuphead.
Cuphead is a game that's coming pretty soon. You have Inside. Inside's another game that's coming pretty soon. Adrift is another game that should be coming soon. Solus Project is now in preview. Man, if you add Red Dead for marketing purposes, you get the Red Dead marketing deal with that. That's a really good lineup. And if they surprise us with a game in November, that's a really great lineup. It really is. It really is. So April's coming up. And we've all seen Uncharted 4. I just want to comment on Uncharted 4. I think Uncharted 4 looks good. I'm no hater. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a PS4 yet, but I'm no hater. I think the game looks great. I'm not going to say it's like, oh my God, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, It's not better than a pack of Skittles when you're really hungry. I can tell you that much. But but it looks good, though. That's without question. It looks really, really good. April's going to be a great month. If you have a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One, April is a great month for you. What did you guys think about the trailer for this game?
I think it looked pretty good. They said this is supposedly be the last tale of Drake, so this is a great way to send him off. It looks pretty good. It looks like the story is going to be a little bit more in depth than previous games, so that's kind of exciting. Can't wait to check it out, man.
Hank?
I'm sorry, what was that? You cut out right there.
I was talking about we were talking about Uncharted 4, and what was your thoughts on the trailer that they released today?
Uncharted 4. I mean, it looks pretty good. It strikes me a lot like Tomb Raider, and it's like it looks cool. I'm not really one for that kind of game anymore. I'm not like 15 anymore. But
really? Really?
I don't know. Like I was not impressed with even Rise of the Tomb Raider. So I mean, hey, I don't know.
Yeah,
the big action tech pieces are pretty cool, but like I just don't bother with that. Rather watch
something is mentally wrong with you.
I'm a Fallout gamer. I am the open world wasteland survival kind of guy.
Listen,
that's not my kind of game.
I understand why you have the hate that you do. What you just said was blasphemous. First of all, saying you hate Tomb Raider was just blasphemy. Okay, Tomb Raider was an amazing game. Anybody who says that it wasn't is lying to themselves. They're in denial. You know what I'm saying? Uncharted 4 looks great, man. Look, I played Uncharted 2. I thought it was the best Uncharted ever. People, listen, no disrespect. I know there's a lot of Uncharted fans. I'm about to say something that's going to piss a lot of people off. Uncharted 1 was not as good as people make it out to be. I don't know why people hype Uncharted 1 like it was the greatest game ever. Uncharted 1 was a good game. It was a good game. It wasn't the greatest. Uncharted 2 was amazing. It was like probably one of the best adventure games I ever played. I didn't play 3, so I have nothing to comment on, but Uncharted 4 looks really good. It does look good. It looks solid, man. But Tomb Raider was a great game. But Uncharted looks great. Quantum Break looks absolutely stunning. It looks stunning. I'm looking forward to this game. I can't wait to get my hands on it, to finally be a time-shifting superhero. Like, speaking of that, I just want to ask you a question. If you could be a superhero and pick any power, just like on a Quantum Break thing right now, If you could pick a superhero and you can pick 2 powers, what would your 2 powers be? Anchor.
Damn it. I was gonna say Captain Marvel, but that's a series of powers. Jeez, that's putting me on the spot right now. Jeez. Dark matter manipulation.
Dark matter manipulation. Okay.
Like a Blue Marvel from Marvel. So.
Okay. That's it? Just that one ability?
Yep.
All right. You got a static thing with your mic, by the way.
Oh.
B, what would you pick?
I think I just want to be as fast as Flash.
Mm.
I think Flash is definitely one of those characters that kind of gets, he gets looked over a lot of times, but I definitely want to be as fast as Flash, man.
That would be dope. For me, I would have to go with teleportation. Teleportation is like, it's like godsend. Being able to move anywhere you want. I mean, there's always a limitation. There's always like you have to be there at least once, or if you have to seen it at least once to go back there. But man, just being able to teleport anywhere you want would be crazy. If I had to pick a second power, damn man, I would definitely pick. I would be like Peter from Heroes, and I would pick the sponge ability. Teleportation would be my main power, and then I would have the power to absorb powers. No, hold up. There's an anime. I can't remember the name of the anime, but it was this kid. He had this ability, and he didn't know how to use it at first. He only thought that he could take over people's bodies. He would look at them, and then he would pass out, and he would take over their bodies. But the thing was, when he came back to his body, he actually saw their power. It was called what's it called? Bootstrap? It was like the bootstrap ability, where he was jump into a body, steal their powers, and come out. But they, instead of copying it, he stole it. He would steal it. They wouldn't even have their powers again, and he would just be OP as hell, son. Like that ability, the ability to absorb other powers or steal other powers, is the greatest ability ever. Like Parasite to me, who was a Superman villain, and we're completely off subject at this point. I just heard the whole superhero rant real quick, but Parasite, in my opinion, should be Superman's greatest enemy. With all the villains in the world, the ability to absorb other, the only thing is he has to keep doing it. That's the downside to him. But the ability to absorb other powers by touching people is crazy. If only Rogue could control the power once she touched it, she would be the most OP character in X-Men. But she loses all control when she gets like crazy powers. I remember her grabbing Cyclops' power. She lost her mind. She was like blasting everything with those optic beams.
Like they did establish that she actually got Miss Marvel's powers for an extended period of time, at least in the '80s run, where she was able to fly and have super strength and just basic stuff. Also, like basically the X-Men cartoon run. That whole thing.
Yeah, the X-Men cartoon run. Yeah.
That was because she was in such close proximity with Miss Marvel for so long.
Yeah.
It's kind of like stuck.
Yeah. No. The cartoon run was epic. 80s cartoons, early 90s cartoons were epic. Anybody who says otherwise, you're playing yourself. I give you Pokemon, but them card games is for the birds, bro. It's nothing like He-Man, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, and Transformers. Don't get it twisted. All right, back on subject. So, Microsoft has this embargo for their event that they just released that's supposed to be releasing on Monday, and we don't know what it is. And I got into a nice little discussion with Southbound and Randall, Thor, as well as a few other people, Captain Game Pass. Shout out to those people out there. Really cool guys, great Xbox people. Hey, check out the TXR podcast, by the way. I didn't get a chance to shout them out. They actually had a great interview with Ryan McCaffrey as well. I want to call that the part 1 to the Tic Podcast interview that we had with them. So if you get an opportunity to check them out, go ahead and check out that episode. Great Xbox podcasts out there. And I don't often compliment other Xbox podcasts. That's just not my MO. But I do want to support every Xbox podcast that's out there, and that's one of them that I definitely do support. So definitely check them out. But I got to a discussion with these guys, and a lot of people feel like this embargo is just an embargo on the games because they don't want to talk about the games. They want everybody to get these game previews that they're playing right, so everybody has a chance to play the games, and they get these things out there. But I'm just sitting here saying to myself, to me, for a game preview, it just for an embargo, it doesn't make sense.
Why would you waste an embargo?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. Why would you waste an embargo, a 4-day embargo, on a game preview, on game previews? People do game previews all the time, and nobody blinks an eye at it. I can see if it was the actual review of the game. You want people to buy the game. You don't want people to have a bad impression of the game, so people go out, buy it day one, and then they get home when they find out the game's a 3 out of 10. Well, you just spent $60. You already opened it, so you can't return it. You know what I'm saying? Unless you got it from like Walmart or something like that. Don't buy the game from GameStop because they're only going to say you can exchange it or some crazy crap like that. But it's funny, and I'm saying to myself, there has to be more than just games. There's something else besides games. And you guys already know I've been going on and on about Steam and Xbox and how there's some type of Xbox Steam, you know, maybe it's streaming or integration. Everybody's like, that doesn't make sense. Why would Steam do that? Because they make no money, and Microsoft is a conflict of interest and things like that. Who knows, man? And everybody always say, what's his name? Gabe Newell or whatever his last name is. He's like, oh, he hates Microsoft. I'm like, no, he probably hated Ballmer, and he probably hated Don Matrick. I'm pretty sure he probably loves Phil Spencer and has no issue with Satya Nadella. You know, things change over time. So I think that Microsoft might have something worked out where either they're PC streaming to Xbox, or they're working out something where they may be streaming Steam games to Xbox. I'm pretty sure they gave release dates for Cortana. You guys can't forget about the TV DVR. A lot of people forgot about that as well. Like Microsoft is turning the Xbox into a DVR, so if you have cable box, you can actually start recording live TV on your Xbox. That's pretty cool, you know, and actually watch that. So you should definitely, I think, if they're going to release this information, it's not big information. Like if they said OG Xbox games are now backwards compatible and live enabled, I would be honest with you. If they said that, I would lose it because I really want to play Fusion Frenzy online with people. That was the one downside to that game, that it wasn't online. It was like 4-player co-op. You know what I'm saying? What is you guys' thoughts on this? What do you think Microsoft has up their sleeve? Do you really just think it's just games, or do you think they have something else?
Personally, I think it's messaging. I mean, that's the only way I could see them justifying any sort of embargo, anything at all, honestly, because they clearly want to define what Windows 10 and the Windows Vision is going to be for Xbox and PC.
Okay.
And for the longest time, all we've been hearing is about how Xbox stuff is going to PC, and we haven't really seen the pullback from that, except for maybe game preview, like what Xbox is getting from PC. And so it's also been a really big point of contention recently that it's been, like after the whole Quantum Break thing going to PC, everybody flipped out. And everybody started yelling at Phil Spencer and Aaron Greenberg and all of them about it going to PC. And so the only thing that makes any sense at all is Phil Spencer and the rest of the team wants to get all the media in one room, explain the vision all the way through. No one's live tweeting. No one's like sitting there writing the article up like halfway through the speech. Everyone sits there, listens to the whole thing, gets the pitch, and when the embargo drops, the articles drop explaining what's going on. And that's the only thing I can see that justifies it.
I don't like that, though. I feel like that almost feels Konami-ish. It feels like you're forcing people to write, reviews or previews.
You're trying to control the message.
Like you're trying to control the message. I don't think Phil is that type of person to do that. What I think is that they presented something. They know it may not go over well with either PC gamers or Xbox gamers, and they want to make sure that the message is clear step by step because they don't want the fiasco that they had with Quantum Break. The problem with Microsoft this generation has been communication. We understand that. This is the reason why I keep telling them, just bring Tic Podcast into Xbox, baby. We will communicate everything for you to the fans, and the fans will love it. They will get it, man. We are clear in what we want to talk about. But I'm just saying that they have a communication problem. So I think that I think that they probably announced something, probably like all Microsoft games from here on out will be Xbox PC games. Everybody and their mama gonna lose it. You know what I'm saying? So they want to make sure that they get what they're trying to present out, the reasons why they're presenting it, and how it benefits the console gamer. Because right now, as a console gamer, all they've been hearing is PC, 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 Windows 10, Windows 10, Windows 10, but not enough Xbox, Xbox, Xbox. You know, so I think they're trying to just control this as much as possible. But I still think that there's something that they want to get clear that probably benefits the Xbox finally, and they want to make sure that it's clear that people aren't confused on, oh, well, can it do this? If I buy a game on Steam, can I just play any game? Can I play all the games? Can I buy this game? Well, it's on the Xbox store and it's on the Steam store at the same time. Can I buy the Steam one since it's like $15 cheaper? Like, I'm pretty sure they got like a very clear message of what you can play on Xbox through PC, what could stream, maybe what may work with Steam. I think that may be something that they're trying to do, and they want this message to be clear as day, so that way people's not second guessing and coming up with their own reasons to why Microsoft did this. B, what is your thoughts?
Before I get started, I got to shout out the Basement Radio Arcade podcast. I was actually a guest on there last night, and we talked about this pretty in depth. So shout out to Enrique and Worry Word and Mamacita. Appreciate you guys for having me on. But you know, my thoughts on it is we'll see a lot of services come out of this, like you said, the DVR thing. But like you mentioned, I think this has to do with something in regards to Steam. As you guys remember, when they first showed off the Xbox Live stuff on PC, they did show off that you could do recordings of gameplay from games from your Steam library. And I thought that was kind of weird because all that information will still show up on the Xbox game,
Right.
stream.
Right.
So it's kind of weird to kind of have Steam games on there, kind of be on your live stream and you not have access to those games. And then with the work that the guys have been doing on the website and them kind of bringing up that stuff that they brought up on the domains being hit with Steam, it's kind of weird that there's been a lot of activity in regards to that as well. So I think that would have to be the big announcement. I wouldn't understand why you would take 4 days to kind of get the messaging correct, because I think that's something you can do in a simple video. It just the messaging has to be direct. Say what you're going to do and just do that. But I think if they present the universal app with Steam and you're able to purchase games that you have purchased on Steam are playable on Xbox, and you can integrate your achievements with Steam, then I think that has to be the big announcement. Major Nelson did just post on his Twitter that March 1st is when everything will be revealed, and everybody should stay tuned. So I think there's no other reason for them to kind of make that March 1st such a big deal if it wasn't something
That's
that
what I'm
big.
saying. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. Like, okay, so what do you do if you show Recore? You show video of Recore for the first time. I mean, clearly that's going to get a bunch of news and a lot of press. We're talking about a game whose base ideal was after Zelda and Metroid. So for the people out there who don't like Zelda and Metroid, you're not going to like Recore. But if you like Zelda and Metroid, this is about to be the hottest game. The hottest game that you played in a long time, because we've been seeing what Nintendo's been doing with Zelda and Metroid. So you'll be really impressed with this game. I mean, at the same time, I'm just not truly true. Don't truly think you're just gonna let people play games for 4 days. First of all, it's not that many journalists in America. That's or even worldwide that it would take 4 entire days to play all the little bit of games that you have for spring. Remember, this is not even their entire lineup. This is supposed to be just the spring lineup. So they're not even playing Recore actually, since Recore is coming out in winter. So Recore's not there. What they probably played was Gears, the Gears 4 beta multiplayer, which is supposed to come out this spring.
Yeah, and they probably checked out Crackdown.
Right.
So
right.
They got to see some of the games, but not the full catalog.
Right. So they probably didn't get a chance to see this one. Right. They probably got a chance to see more Crackdown because obviously they're going to talk about DX12 at this event. Which, by the way, if the DX12 people are listening, I know you're not. You guys need to figure out when you're going to come on Tic Podcast. It's been like forever already. We've been waiting very patiently. But I think that the Microsoft event has something up their sleeve they're not talking about. People are like, well, why would they announce such a big thing at this event and not E3? They only announce big things at E3. I don't think this is a big thing. First of all, streaming PC games to Xbox is not a big thing. It really isn't. Most people don't even have the PCs that's going to run the game to stream it. You know what I'm saying? Most of the rigs that console gamers have isn't up to par. But what I'm thinking is the reason why I say Steam is because Steam has a lot of indie games that are just on Steam. They're not on consoles. There's a lot of games on Steam that you just don't play. Remember Her Story? Her Story didn't hit consoles. Right. Her Story was on Steam, and that thing got a ton of awards. That could have been a game that would be playable on the Xbox through maybe some type of deal with Steam, or you could have streamed it and purchased the game from Steam and streamed it to the Xbox and play in your living room or on your big screen TV. That's the whole point, I think, is because it allows you to play games that you normally wouldn't play. And obviously you would have to make a Steam account and either purchase the games or something like that. And then you also, as I said before, you had the option of cross buys and cross saves. Maybe you buy the game on Steam and then you're able to play it, and the cross save works on the Xbox One because now you're able to play those games that's coming from Steam that may have been an indie game on Steam first and releasing on Xbox One later. Like me and Anchor talk about this often. Like if you had the ability to play Ark first, on Steam, and then have a save, and then turn around and play that same game on Xbox, but you had a head start in building your base and taming your dinosaurs and getting your armors and getting your resources together and building your metals and your ships and everything like that and getting the spot that you want, and then being able to just open it up on the Xbox and then start recruiting your friends on the Xbox. That's a big step you don't have to worry about. That's big. That's huge. You already have a head start before the average Xbox gamer even got a chance to play the game. So again, I'm not saying that this is going to happen. None of us are saying this is going to happen. We're saying this is a theory. These are just theories. These are just hypothetical questions on why they may have put this embargo in place. For all we know, it can just be just games. They really are just talking about games, which more than likely that's probably what it could be.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of made me hesitate in regards to it being a Steam announcement was the fact that they did say that, the Microsoft games weren't going to be available in the Steam library, so that kind of puts a little hitch into what Steam would be gaining from Microsoft in regards to that, but that's still a possibility.
Yeah, I just think that if it's one of three things with this whole Xbox Steam Power thing and all this activity, people don't understand. Like the activity has been so recent, like as of the 22nd, the 23rd, like every day this thing has been active. The only games I could think of that it could be is either Microsoft has worked out a way where you can stream games from PC to Xbox, number one, which I think would be the number one thing, and the only thing that truly makes sense. Number two, they worked out something with Steam, and now they have some type of Steam, Xbox integration, Windows 10 integration, some crap like that, and they want to make sure that that's clear. Or number three, we're getting BC games like Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead 3, Portal, Orange Box, little things like that. That's the only thing I can think of. You know what I'm saying? And if they worked out something, maybe they got Left 4 Dead 3. That would be the only other things that I could think of that would make sense in that regard. So, I mean, in the end, I think this embargo, whatever we find out on Monday, will be exciting for a lot of us. I hope to see some really good stuff. I hope the spring lineup is great, and a lot of people are probably playing Quantum Break right now and they're really enjoying the game, and I hope that the previews for everything comes out to be smashing, and I'm looking forward to what Microsoft has this spring. So before we get out of here, man, does anybody have anything they want to get off their chest or chat about?
Nothing more than Elite Dangerous just added new ships.
Elite Dangerous.
I hadn't played in like maybe 2 months, and I came back to find there's new ships on there. I'm like, yes. So.
I will say this, man. I really like Far Cry Primal. I know a lot of people have been saying it's been mediocre. I never played the Far Cry game. I really like Far Cry Primal. I'm really into it. It's nothing.
Wait. You have not played a Far Cry game before?
I've never played a Far Cry game before.
Get off my back, man. That's
probably why you enjoy it.
I don't know, man.
You need to sell your Xbox One right now.
First of all, don't talk to me about selling my Xbox.
Don't play Far Cry 3
talking about you didn't play Tomb Raider and you don't like Halo that much. What?
I played both those games. I played them. I just didn't care for them.
Bro, I'm not trying to hear you.
Play Far Cry 3. Far Cry 3 is like contender for top 10.
I'm not trying to hear you right now, son. It's not happening. Nah, it's not happening. Look, all I'm saying is that I didn't get a chance to play Far Cry, so I'm enjoying Far Cry Primal. It's like I said, it's nothing that is like groundbreaking or anything, but I really like what they're doing with the game, building a tribe, saving people, taming animals, picking up people to increase your ability and versatility in the game. Is really dope, man. It's really cool, and graphically it looks pretty decent. Actually more than decent. I just purchased a 4K TV, my first 4K TV. Next year I'm probably going to pick up either a Samsung or a Sony. I know, blasphemy, but hey, let's keep it real. Sony makes great TVs. And it's probably going to be a 4K, and I'll probably move this out. But as of right now, this Vizio that I just purchased, I know it doesn't upscale 1080p to 4K, but it does something to 1080p. It makes these games look incredible. Like, they look so clean and smooth, man. I don't know what they upscale it to, but it looks real clean and smooth, man. So, a shout out to all the PC gamers out there that's always bragging about 4K, because it looks really good. So that's it for our show, man. Obviously, we are doing the show live. We want to thank everybody for stopping in and chatting with us. So we're going to take a few fan questions now. Anybody who have anything they want to ask Tic Podcast, can go ahead and ask it, and we will do our best to answer those questions.
We need some Jeopardy music while we're waiting.
I know, right?
Yeah, I will say that the reason why you probably enjoy Far Cry Primal is because you haven't played the other Far Cry games. I know, like, I played Far Cry 3, completed that game. And once I got to Far Cry 4, like, the game was really enjoyable, but I just felt like, it was just another Far Cry game. They really didn't change up enough of the game for me to, kind of continue playing it. But, applause to Ubisoft for, kind of releasing Far Cry Primal and being a little bit different than 3 and 4. So.
See, the thing is, you're coming in on the decline of the Far Cry series at this point. Far Cry 3 was like the peak of the Far Cry series. They had a great story, they had great gameplay, they had interesting side missions and all that kind of stuff, and it was so much fun to play. Far Cry 4 was literally them trying to copy-paste the same game, but in the Himalayas. They have the same exact thing, like a checklist. Like, everything you needed to do. Hunting, yep. Charismatic villain, yep. Tons of missions, a crazy environment, things you could jump off of, yep. Like, everything got it. But it just... Far Cry Primal, like, because I'm playing it at the same time as you, so I mean, I'm going through the same kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same story Far Cry 3 did, because it's just a completely different setting. It doesn't have the range of abilities you had in Far Cry 3, and even in 4.
Well, I mean, that's because it's probably set in prehistoric times, so things change up a little bit. But we'll see what happens. I mean, we got to play the game, man. I'm only like 14% in, so I'm pretty sure there's more to explore and discover. All right, so we got our first question. I want to say my man's name is Makai, or Makai28. I don't want to say MKI. That sounds retarded. So it sounds like MKI28. He said, why did Microsoft give us 4K HDMI cables? I think they gave us 4K cables because we'll be able to watch 4K movies at some point. I know that Netflix, they stream in 4K, and I wonder if eventually Microsoft will allow 4K streaming of movies and TV shows on the Xbox One. to your 4K TVs within the next 2 or 3 years, because these TVs are dropping left and right in price. Like 4K is really dropping in price, so they're a lot more accessible than they were, last year or the year before. So what do you guys think? You think that sounds about right?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see 4K gaming on this Xbox, but I definitely think, especially with the TV integration, that they started with it, that's probably what Microsoft was thinking, is that, as the prices of the TVs come down, and broadcasting channels starting to actually broadcast in 4K, that we'll be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah. I don't think Microsoft. I agree with B. I don't think Microsoft will have any 4K games. Even if they were indie games, I don't know if they'll be 4K. Like Microsoft, this Xbox One. I mean, maybe with DX12, it may be a possibility. I don't want to knock it, but just with all the issues with like 1080p and 900p and frames, and I don't know. I don't know if Xbox will be able to handle the whole 4K thing. Shaggy McCaffrey, who I think is a troll.
What was your first clue?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm going to go ahead and pass on that question, Shaggy. This is the Xbox podcast. I know somebody earlier said you need to talk about PlayStation more, but, that's not what we do, bro. That's not what we do here. This is Tic Podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox One, so we do this for the Xbox fans. Big Bang Kamehameha says, could the next Xbox be upgradable like buying specs off the store?
It could. I mean, there's always a possibility. Like, it could also be a transformer. It could. There's always a possibility, but I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, man. I think that the next Xbox will be a beast of a console. I think that the next Xbox will be a console. The next PlayStation will be a console. People think it's going to be streaming devices. I don't think they're ready for it yet. Do you think about what happened recently when we couldn't play online for like an entire day, almost like half a day? People were losing it. You had so many people talking about they tried to play a Blu-ray and it told them to put in the disc and it wouldn't verify and everything like that, and nobody knew they had to sign offline. People are not trying to go completely stream or completely online when you can have a DDoS attack knock your whole service offline. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll still do consoles. I think they'll still have disc, but I think the disparity between digital and retail will continue to flip. More people will be buying digital. It's convenient. You start to get a lot of discounts a lot sooner. Every week you look at what they're doing with Xbox Live deals. So every week you're getting discounts, $10 off, 30% off, 40% off, 50% off, and things like that. More people are buying games with these deals, and game preview, digital games they're just really blowing up. So I think the next generation, you might start to see a 50-50 split. 50% people go to retail, 50% people buy the game digitally. And I think the generation after that, I think consoles will probably die within the next 15 years. I look at it. I figure we have about 4 more years. I want to say 15 years. I'll say the next 9 years. We have about 3 years left with this generation, and then after that, we probably have another 6 with the next generation, and then that'll probably be it. We'll probably be on the streaming devices, cloud devices, using servers for games, and we won't ever have to worry about, hardware again, because these servers are so powerful. They'll be giving us the best things and the best frames that we can possibly think of. And at that point, within the 9 years, the way technology moves, I would expect the infrastructure of the world would be increased tenfold. At that point, like right now, you can get over 100 internet for like $50 a month, and in 9 years, I can guarantee you 100 over 100 be like $15 a month, and the next thing would be like freaking 1,000 or something like that, or whatever it is that they want to do. So it'd be pretty crazy. Let's see here. Fastback 24/7 asks, will you guys be live streaming Xbox E3? Actually, we would like to actually be at E3. Our guy B Money 101 was able to get an email from from the E3, the ESA early, and he was able to go ahead and apply because we were there last year. And because we've done very well with TICGN.com, the site garners enough views and garners enough hit monthly, we've been recognized as media, so he was able to get a media badge, and that's very awesome. We are very proud of that distinction. It's all thanks to you guys out there who support us and watch the show and listen and chat and everything like that, because without you guys, that site would have never been able to do what it did for Tic Podcast. So we're able to continue to keep getting the information, news, and interviews that you guys want to hear and listen to, and thanks to you, we'll have some even more access now at E3 to get the things that you do. There's a possibility that some of us may not be able to make it, so we may stream from there, or we may stream, do a joint stream if he's there and we're here, or we're all there. We may do a stream that day. It depends on the internet, because I can tell you right now, the last time we was there, the internet was not great at all. It was tough. There was things I wanted to upload. It wasn't going to happen, bro. That hotel internet is not right. It's not right at all. Like, it's terrible. So I can tell you that much. Let's see. Makai28 asks, do you all think all DX12 games will be on Xbox One as well as PC? Yes, I do. What do you guys think?
I mean, I feel like that's such a broad question. I mean, because it's up to developers to use DX12 and to develop games for DX12. I mean, it's kind of up for whoever the developer is. Like, if they're developing just for Xbox, they want to use DX12. I mean, sure, yeah, okay, we're gonna do that and be done with it. But then you might have. I mean, it's always a possibility, but I mean, I don't know.
What do you think, B?
Yeah, like Anchor said, I think there's always a possibility. I'm not sure, how that'll work, for multi-plat games, that aren't hitting the PC. If DX12 would be utilized as much, in that space. But if it's going Xbox and PC, then most definitely.
I think that Microsoft will be using DX12 for all their games from here on out. We've already seen Quantum Break make the jump to DX12. Remember, they say when it hits PC, in order for you to play, you need to have Windows 10 because it's a DX12 game. I would assume that has been ported over for DX12 on the Xbox One. We already know Gears is a DX12 game. Fable will be a DX12 game. I'm pretty sure Recore will be a DX12 game. So pretty much from here on out, I would assume that all first-party games will be DX12 or DX12 ported, unless they're like smaller games like indie titles. But all the big AAAs, I would expect them all to be DX12. I think that's another reason why Recore got pushed back. I wouldn't be surprised if Recore was actually ready, but it got pushed back because it's going to PC and they need to port it to DX12. That could be a very strong possibility why it got pushed back to the end of the year, because it was supposed to come out this year. So they pushed it back probably for the port and to bring it to PC as well. And Scalebound, I'm pretty sure Scalebound will be DX12 as well. So as far as third party is concerned, like these guys said, it's up to the third party, man. If they want to put their game on Windows 10, it would be the smart thing to do, because DX12 allows you to literally port any game that you make for Windows 10 to Xbox in like a day. I mean, you can't beat that, man. You cannot beat that with a stick. So I'm pretty sure people who make the game through Windows 10, they have two versions of their game in like no time, and you can just spend nothing but optimization on the Xbox games would be really big. I think, what's a DX12 game? That Doom game. The new Doom game coming out, they've already announced that game is going to be 1080p, 60 frames per second on both consoles. On both consoles. Now, usually you'd be like, okay, 1080p, 60 frames per second on the PlayStation 4, obviously because they have the GPU advantage a little bit. But at the same time, you would be like, okay, 900p, 60 on the Xbox. Now, they talk about 1080p on the Xbox as well, and that's a DX12 game. It just goes to show you, we don't know what the performance is going to be like until we really get a chance to see how the performances and the image quality is. But if it's up to snuff and it's on par, that says a lot about DX12. So we'll see what happens with that game.
Hey, I'm picking that game up. Other than the fact that it's Bethesda.
Shut up, You and Bethesda, you're ridiculous. Oh, man. Okay, where are we at? I'm sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. I lost my space. I scrolled up too far. Okay. Oh, man. How far did I go?
There are a lot of comments.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments. Yeah, there's a lot of comments.
There's a comment in here from Von Shell Morgan. It says that the next Xbox should be called Xbox Elite. They released a Xbox Elite before, but I think that would be a good suggestion, and to make the Elite controller.
Xbox Infinite.
No, it should be Xbox 10.
I don't know about that.
Xbox
Jeez,
10.
Count.
It only makes sense.
Xbox 360, 1,
and 10 because it coincides with Windows 10. Everything is Windows 10 with these guys. You might as well just call it Xbox 10. I'm just saying,
I don't know about that, but I think if they went with the Elite, I think the Elite controller should also be like a standard controller that comes in a box. If they wanted to go that route.
All right.
Man, just think of the marketing possibilities with Xbox Infinite. And it's like, oh, what's this to me buying? Oh, PlayStation 5. What's this to me buying? The Wii N. Or what's this?
Wii N? Shut up.
What are you buying? I'm buying the Infinite.
Oh my God. Anyway.
I can Xbox and an infinity sign. Like right next to it. Perfect.
Yeah. That people will really believe that is the last Xbox because that will be the last one forever. So Fastback 24/7. Can you guys get Aaron Greenberg on the show? We've already had Aaron Greenberg on the show, brother. Check out our interviews. A lot of people be sleeping on Tic Podcast. You got to go through our whole catalog, man. We've got an amazing catalog of content. We have been doing this for almost 2 years now. We've had everybody on the show, from Phil Spencer to Jeff Keighley. We've had Aaron Greenberg. We've had Chris Charla. We've had, obviously, recently we've had Ryan McCaffrey. We've had, I don't know, man. I could tell
Mikey
you.
Barra.
Yeah, Mikey Barra. We've had a lot of people.
Brad Wardell.
We've had a lot of people on the show. Ken Lobb. Yeah,
man.
There's a lot of interviews. You just check out our interview section. Start all the way from the beginning. Our first interview was with Henry Sturchy. We spoke to him about when they first brought out Project Spark, and we had a great discussion with him about Project Spark. And once we got Phil, it was a wrap, man. It was like we're already at the top. Where did we go? It doesn't have to sound arrogant. It was just a truthful statement. We were really sitting there saying to ourselves, usually you start from the bottom and you work your way up. We literally started from the top of Xbox and did not know where to go next. So obviously we've done a great job of fixing that. So just check out the interview section, man. There's a lot of great interviews there over the last couple of months. Okay, let's see. I'm not going back on the show unless you're talking about. Everything fucking.
Just remember, start hashtagging it right now. Tic Podcast. Anything can happen.
Seriously, time. A lot of power going. Oh, minus 3 All right, Dean Brown says, "Do you think they announced something with cloud compute today?" Yeah, they probably talked about Crackdown. More than likely, just show more Crackdown because Crackdown's supposed to be. We're supposed to get the multiplayer this summer. This is about to be crazy. Like, people sleeping on Xbox. We about to get Gears 4 in spring, and then we about to get Crackdown's multiplayer over the summer.
You guys think Halo Wars is going to use cloud as well?
I mean, I think it would. If you look at what Brad Wardell is doing with, what's the name of his game? Something of a Singularity?
Yeah.
Ashes of a Singularity. That game uses DX12. I would think Halo Wars 2 uses DX12. Have you seen Ashes of a Singularity? Like, have you seen that game in motion? The whole planet is at war. Not a section on a map. The whole freaking planet. My man was scrolling over continents, going to other battles on the opposite side of the globe. That was insane. It was absolutely insane. So it would definitely be. It would definitely be something that they need to invest in. And they're not. I don't know what they're doing. I think Anchorman has to step out. We're gonna try to wrap up a few more questions for the next 12 minutes. But I really want to thank Anchor for stopping in. Obviously, him being a part of the show and everything, but he has other obligations. So Anchor,
I gotta go, guys.
Yeah, well, we will check you on the next episode later in the week.
All right, see you guys later.
Peace.
See you, man.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay, Big Bang Kamehameha asks, do you think Microsoft should approach Sega and buy their IPs? No, I do not. Um, First of all, they're gonna try to sell those IPs for an arm and a leg. Second of all, half those IPs aren't worth it at this point. It's not that Sega doesn't have great IPs. It's just that you have to reboot them. You have to, first of all, you have to. What studio do you give them to? We're talking about Japanese games. Microsoft has no Japanese studios whatsoever. I really wish they would make a Japanese studio, but they have no Japanese studios. So who do you give those IPs to? You can't then turn around and make them Americanized. That would be absolutely horrendous. And you can't just keep hiring third-party Japanese devs to make these games. So I think that what they need to do, if they want to do something with Sega, they should just buy exclusivity and fund the game, and let Sega do the work. Um, if they wanted to buy an IP, I mean, the only one you probably could buy is Sonic, because you got Sega of America that kind of works on Sonic mainly. You couldn't do something like Phantasy Star. Phantasy Star is just too big of a franchise to even touch, and that's already on PlayStation. They have a very big, very deep library. It's just hard to try to touch those games, and I just don't see them selling. I just don't see Sega selling unless they have to. They'll just continue to stay third party and go mobile like they've been trying to do for the longest time. What do you think, B?
Yeah, I don't think Sega is really looking to sell any of their IPs. I think since they purchased Atlas, Atlas has been pretty successful for them, and they've kind of been riding that wave. So I think for them, they're kind of taking a seat back and trying to see what's going on in the industry and see if those other IPs are even worth releasing at this time. Sega is coming up on the anniversary, and I think we'll see something from Sonic and things like that. But right now Sega's focused on one of their biggest titles for this year, which will be Persona 5. So they'll focus on that and see what the reception is of that. And they've got the Tales series, which has been pretty popular. So they'll continue to ride that wave as long as they can until they're forced to do something else.
Yeah. Let's see here. What do we have here? General Mike says, I think America needs to fix their internet issues if they want streaming to take off. It will be done. You got Google Fiber out there making moves. I know Comcast just got a big thing, and they're starting to really up their game. Verizon, to me, right now is probably the best network to go with. I have Fios, and I have no complaints with Fios, other than the fact, for some apparent reason, I can't get anything above 3 megabytes per second on my uploads for Twitch. It makes my Twitch streams horrendous. I can't even stream properly because the thing just keeps lagging. It's terrible. And I have so many interesting games. I want to stream so many RPGs and so many games that I like to play, and I can barely do it because the freaking thing is like always lagging. It's very annoying. But they'll do it over time without question.
I think what we have to see change though is a lot of cable companies now are trying to data cap your internet service, which when it comes down to streaming and buying digital games and things like that, that becomes a little bit more of a headache because as you're downloading those games, that does eat up your internet service and usually will take you over the cap. So I think if these companies can all get on board and allow internet without having data caps, then I think you'll see streaming become more of a wide accepted thing rather than just only being in some of the bigger markets.
Yeah, definitely. Big Bang Kamehameha says, could you talk about the clickbait, aka cancer, that I tweeted out earlier on Twitter? Someone made a post about Uncharted 4, and we're overly excited, saying that Uncharted 4 will be the end of Xbox. I don't do the whole clickbait thing. I don't do the whole PlayStation versus Xbox fanboy war thing, so I'm not going to talk about it, honestly. The only reason why I tweeted it out was because there was an issue earlier with someone was referencing TICGN about biasness and things like that because someone has an opinion about PlayStation. And what I tried to explain to the person was that it doesn't reflect on TICGN on the website. I don't allow fanboy stuff, biasness, or clickbait articles or clickbait titles on a site if I can catch it before it gets released. And even if it's not catch, I usually alter it or I try to edit it for long-term use. If a person on my site, which is an Xbox-centric site, which talks about PC, Windows 10, and entertainment, doesn't like PlayStation, and they express that, that's their opinion. I can't stop that person from not liking PlayStation, but as long as that is not being portrayed into the work and content that he's putting out on the site, I have no issues with that. If someone doesn't like PlayStation, they don't like Sony, that's their opinion. That's how they feel. I can't change how that person feels. And people shouldn't expect me to sit up there and police people. That's the problem with the world today. Everybody is too oversensitive. We're policing each other way too much, and that's just not what I'm going to do. On top of that, we don't even talk about PlayStation. So it would be one thing if he hated PlayStation, then I had him doing articles for PlayStation, but we don't have any PlayStation content on the site. So him being biased about anything for PlayStation doesn't make sense in the first place because we don't do PlayStation content. So I just want to get that out the way. I'm not going to touch on what this guy said. That's how he feels. That's how he feels. And we'll just move on from that. Let's see here. Matthew Dara, I believe I got that name right. Apologies if I didn't. DX12 is just an API. Someone can decide just to use it for a PC game. That's true. They can use it for a PC game, but then you have the option to easily port it to Xbox One in 24 hours. If you can double your income, wouldn't you? I'm just saying, if you had an opportunity, let's say you was making a PC game, and you can sell this game on PC, but then I told you, hey, if you took another 15 hours, you can actually port this game to Xbox and everything will work perfectly because the two APIs for both the console and PC are exactly the same. And you just now opened up an additional 20 million people who own the Xbox One. Would you not do that? I'm just saying it makes sense to do. I'm not saying they have to do it, but I know that if I'm a developer and I have an opportunity to make more money, I would definitely do that. So I think that's a great incentive for anybody who wants to use DX12 and they want to go Windows 10 and they want to use a new API and build all these games. You could just port things over to the Xbox in like no time. I just remember them talking about porting Forza to PC, and it took 4 of them to do it in 1 month. They ported Forza to PC in 1 month. Usually ports take a pretty long time and a lot of big teams. It was only 4 guys. By the way, it wasn't like they had 30 people. 4 dudes worked on this and did it in a month. So you could imagine having an entire staff and just knocking it out in a day. That's pretty incredible. Let's see here. And that looks like that's it, man. That's it for the show. We don't have any more questions. I really appreciate everybody's coming out and checking out the stream and supporting us. Remember, tomorrow we will have the interview with the developers Hinterland, who work on The Long Dark. This interview was really awesome. I wasn't expecting for him to say some of the things in the show about the game. If you've played The Long Dark, which has been in preview for like the longest time because it was one of the first games, what was really cool was that he said that right now the game is supposed to fully drop spring of 2016. So sometime in spring, the game's supposed to fully launch. There's going to be a story mode, which is really awesome. But what was really dope was that he said there's a possibility if the game does well that they will change the seasons. And when they change the seasons themselves change. So they want to do a seasonal. They want to present a story. They want to give you a few episodes of the story, kind of episodic, like a TV show, he says. And then when that season is over, if you pick up the game in summer, like the next season would be like spring or summer, which will then host an entirely new, different way to survive in the environment. So it's really interesting. And that caught me by surprise. There's a lot of things that we talk about in that interview. It's a lot of things he touched on. It's really awesome. Definitely check out the On the Red Carpet interviews, man. I know a lot of people don't check them out. A lot of them are indie games, but I'm telling you, these developers, they got a really great history when they work on these games. It's really interesting, how they've gone from where they were to where they are now and the freedom they have to make the games they want to make. So definitely check that out. Let's see. Before we head out, I could probably answer maybe 2 or 3 more questions. It seems like some people have some more things to ask. No, that's it. Cool. So once again, I want to thank everybody for stopping in on the show. Me and B Money will be back next week with the original team. I will try to have a super pod shot sometime over the weekend, releasing in the beginning of the week, probably I want to say Monday, probably like Tuesday or Wednesday. I do have a plan and have the guys from TXR on the show. I've been communicating with them to try to get Tic Podcast and TXR to team up. That includes Southbound, Tim Dog, as well as Rand Outdoor. Get those guys on the show and just get a chance to chat with them about what's happening with this embargo with Microsoft and see what they say and how they feel about it. And we will keep you posted on what's happening with E3 and everything like that. Hopefully that works out and we are all able to get up there and give you guys the content that you want to have. So I want to thank everybody for listening to the Ryan McCaffrey Show. I want to thank everybody for supporting Tic Podcast. Please continue to support Tic Podcast. Go out there, tell your friends about us. Help us grow, because when you help us grow, we're able to do more things for you. And that's it. B, you got anything you want to say before we head out?
No, just everybody stay tuned. Working on a lot of things in the background. We are definitely getting some review copies in early, so we will have reviews out on the website as they release from all your, like they release on all your major websites. So, we're definitely making moves. Appreciate everyone who's been supporting us, hitting the website, hitting the channel, listening to the shows. It's definitely big encouragement to us to keep on doing what we're doing. So thanks to everyone.
Most definitely. I really appreciate everyone who comments, and I really appreciate everybody who loves the show, and really appreciates the work we do. It keeps us motivated, it keeps us coming back, and it keeps us digging and getting more great interviews and content for you guys, because we always want to surprise you and we always want to impress you. So thanks a lot. We're out of here, and I'm your host, KLYXKLL, with my man B Money 101, and we're off this planet. Peace.